now jumping right in.
Hello, everyone.
Good afternoon. So time has jumped ahead an hour, so we're late.
That's
Anyway,
right, we did lose an hour, huh? Damn.
so the topic of today is friendship and parenting. Can you befriend your child?
I can say yes and no. Yes and no. There's
Yeah.
a boundary, that needs to be known and set,
Yeah, I think that's where most people, disagree when it comes to being friends with your child, because I think a lot of people associate friendship with like somebody you going out party with, somebody, your friend when you talk about different things too, and you smoke and drink with, and you do stuff like that. But I think it's just the level of friendship that you have with each person,
Okay.
And me personally, I think that friendships with our children should be developed as soon as they're able to communicate. And me, with my first two kids, I was young. I had my first child at 15. So we pretty much grew up together. So she was more like my friend, my sister, my daughter. She was everything.
Right.
And, as we grew, we bumped heads, but as we grew, we grew as friends, but we still have mother-daughter respect for each other. Like she don't curse in front of me or anything. So it's different. I think that the friendship level, it should be like a different type of friendship. Not as far as like your homegirl or somebody you kicking it with, but more like, a good friend that, you want to make sure they succeed and, and give them the best advice that you can give and, stuff like that. But a lot of women, lately in these times, do a lot of partying.
Right.
More so, like, and it's nothing wrong with partying with your child, especially if they're an adult. But early on, and, when you're bringing the child up, and, all we see now is women twerking and, the little girls out there twerking and,
Right.
and
Right. Pole dancing. I seen, I don't know, it was an Instagram. And a mother, she was doing her pole dancing or whatever, but the little girl was right there with her, and she couldn't have been no more than maybe a year and a half,
right,
maybe 2. You know what I mean? And she had her hanging on to the pole with her and all that. It was just like, you serious?
right.
You can't be serious.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think for me, I'll say. I had my first child. I turned 22 in the hospital. But I would always express to my children, I'm your mother first.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But I do believe that there should be some type of a bond there.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I always would let them know, like, you don't think that anything is too far-fetched to tell me.
Right, exactly.
Because I had stories to tell you. You know what I mean? Like, just I was a kid your age too. You know what I mean? And the things we did was just off the chain.
Right.
So don't ever think that anything you got going on is too far fetched for me to comprehend.
Right.
I always wanted to give him that comfort. Don't lie to me, because at the end of the day, I need to know how to defend you.
Right.
Let me know everything. This is a type of relationship that I, tried to build with my children. Let me know everything. You know what I mean? Even the part you had to play.
Right.
Don't leave nothing out. To gain that bond with them, like, no matter what, you can trust in me.
Right. Or they gonna come to you.
Yeah. Or at least please come to me and let me know.
Right.
Whatever the case may be, no judgment.
Exactly.
No judgment.
And I think that's what, the friendship part is. And a lot of people think because you're friends with your child mean that you're not parenting, and that's not the case. That's not true.
True.
Because there's a lot of lessons into parenting
for you and the child.
Yes.
For the parent and the child. Yes.
As you're bonding together, that's where you're building this friendship, because you're getting to know each other. And you start to know what that person like. Their favorite color. What food they like to eat.
Yeah. All of that.
Right. If they got a boyfriend or, a girlfriend, or, how their day was. If they on drugs, know.
Right.
And have this open line of communication, because I think that's what friendship is. Having an open line of communication. That's where the friendship comes in with being friends with your child.
But not even so much. Yeah, I want to say paying attention to them when they're not even paying attention to themselves. You get what I mean? It goes deeper than that. You know what I mean? That bond.
Right.
For your child.
Well, off top, you know that you have to parent this kid.
Of course.
You have to take care of them. You got to feed them. You got to make sure they got clothes and shoes and all that type of shit.
Yeah, right from wrong. Like, you know what I mean? The actions and reactions.
Right, but you can't
decisions and consequences.
You can't parent each kid the same way though.
Oh, this is definite. This is definite.
So you have to not only parent, but you also have to get to know that child, that individual child.
Indeed.
Indeed. In order to be able to communicate, because the same communication I had with my oldest daughter, wasn't the same communication that I had to have with my oldest son. He was a little more on edge, and he pretty much grew up without a father, and like his temper was all the way 100. On any occasion, small, little, whatever, and I guess the bond with us was different, maybe because he was growing into a man. So, I couldn't like relate to him like I could relate to my daughter. Cause me and her, we were kind of grew up together. We both girls. I know how to talk to her and how she's feeling, but with him, it was more so,
more
I
complex.
think. Right.
Boys are completely different than
right.
ladies. So, and their sagas and what they go through out there, and is different
exactly
from a girl's.
And girls, they tend to be in the house when the sun go down.
Yeah,
boys,
it's always been that way.
They be out in the street.
Why I gotta come in the house? He's a boy.
Right.
I used to hearing that all the time.
Right. But, with my son, we still had a level of communication and friendship.
Right.
But as far as, the bond, I think we started to lose the bond, as he got older, because, we couldn't relate to each other. It was different. So even though we had an open line of communication, and I knew what he would do, and what he wouldn't, whatever. But he still was my son, and he still knew that there was boundaries that couldn't be crossed,
Right.
whether we had this bond or not. Whether our friendship was solid or not. And he stayed 100. But with my younger kids, it's different because now I'm an older parent. See, back then I was a younger parent, so I came from a abused home. So, I brought them up. I beat their ass, so it was, like I say, the bond was different.
Okay.
So my younger kids, since they have an older mother, it's different. It's more lesson as far as, almost every communication, every conversation we have is like a lesson in it, and
Okay.
we still have a level of friendship amongst each other because we can laugh with each other and
Right,
do
of
stuff
course.
like that,
Of course.
and but they know where not to cross, even though they never had a whooping. They still know what level to cross, and they know how to talk to me, and and they was actually easier than my older two. Because the older two, they, like I say, they got whoopings, and even though I had that I can't say it was a friendship though. It was more like a sister. Like I grew up, with
Right.
them. So my son, I had him right before my 20th birthday.
Right. Okay. Okay.
So then I had two kids until shit. My son was probably like 7 years old when I had the next one.
Okay.
So now I'm getting a little older. Then now,
Patience then came in a little bit more.
right. It's a little different.
Decision making came in a little better.
Right. But it's still like a freelance with us because, we have such an open relationship with each other. It's just like, but I got one, my baby girl. She, she a little quiet, but, she'll still come to me and say something, every now and then, but she just a quiet person anyway. But, my 16-year-old, she able to, she just come and talk to me. She's trying to get into dating and stuff like that. She's never dated before. And
Right. Right.
she'll be 17 soon, and she's like, I don't know what to say, and and she is of legal age to,
Date.
make that